Afternoon peeps, good afternoon everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. I've literally just got back, honestly just got back through the front door, but I wanted to do a video because there are loads that we need to discuss. Fight week, fight night, fight week that included a fight card which I thought worked really well. I'm not quite sure how it looked on TV, but there, Santa Monica Pier, there were thousands of people, honestly thousands of people, so that I thought worked. As for fight night, I think the person that stole the show was Martin Bakole. Like, stole the show, and not surprisingly, if I'm honest with you, like this isn't me sort of playing Monday morning quarterback. I knew that Martin Bakole was going to destroy Jared Anderson. I knew it. Like, I actually sat down with Turkey when AJ Dubois press conference day. I can't remember when that was. And like, he was talking about Jared Anderson, and I was like, Martin Bakole's a problem, like a big problem. And I think he wasn't convinced Anderson was going to win, but he thought it was the right fight at the right time. And I just felt like Anderson, being 24, inexperienced, it's a big stage. Martin Bakole's just a bit of a problem, man. And we're going to do a separate Martin Bakole video. I mean, it was George Foreman, wasn't it? It was George Foreman, just 2 or 3 inches taller and nearly 3.5, 4 stone bigger. That's what he is. He's a 20 stone, 6'6" wrecking machine that has power in both hands and doesn't waste shots. And when he knows you're hurt, even he hit Jared Anderson with an uppercut, which didn't seem to have everything in it, and still caused a lot of problems. Like, he's an issue. By the way, he gave me these, which was really nice as well. Signed to myself, signed Martin Bakole gloves. These are the gloves that he wore for his fight against Carlos Takam. So that's really nice of him. Obviously, one of those are going to go back there. It's going to replace that DAZN glove. I might give the other one away. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's really nice of him and his team to give me those. But yeah, look, we're probably going to do a separate video on Martin Bakole. There's a lot of talk now about Bakole versus Zhilei Zhang. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's frightening. That's 600 pounds in the ring. 600 pounds. Both of those guys will be in and around the 300 pound mark. Bakole weighed, I think, 299 for Carlos Takam, weighed 284. Zhilei Zhang, I think, is around that mark as well. That's frightening. But yeah, look, loads to talk about. What did you guys make of the fight card within the week? I think it's a good idea. Honestly, I think it's a good idea. I don't think you need to do what they did, which was 2 10-rounders. I think maybe you just do, I don't know, a couple of 6-rounders, a couple of 8-rounders in there. But I think it makes sense, especially outdoors as well. And hopefully that's something that can be added to the AJ Dubois card. Why not? I think you should add it again, because these media and public workouts just can be a bit boring because the fighters go in the ring and don't do anything really. So why not have a few fights after? I think it makes sense. All right, should we start with Terence Crawford? Should we do that, and then we can maybe look through the card? Let's talk about the title. Like, did we see enough to get us excited, or for Terence Crawford to get the Canelo fight? And I guess the answer is no. If we're brutally honest, the answer is no. Like, if you did not know that was Terence Crawford, right? Say there was any other 154 pounder. So say you saw that, and then that guy that won says he wants to go up a couple of weight classes to take on Canelo, you'd probably say no, right? If we're being brutally honest, if you remove the fact that it's Terence Crawford, but we can't, it is Terence Crawford, so let's play that game. And I said this to a few people before the fight, there's a lot of pressure on Crawford going into that fight, because it's Madrimov. And I think a lot of the Americans maybe didn't know too much about Madrimov, so it's like he's a bum. What can he do? Where I think maybe us Brits know a bit more about him, so we kind of give him that respect. 300 wins as an amateur, you're getting my respect, right? So maybe there was a problem in the fact that it was taking on a really good guy in Madrimov. I mean, I spoke to Turkey on stage before the fight, and he's already talking about the Canelo fight, right? That carrot's been dangled in front of you. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure, and you're trying to win a belt in your 4th weight class. It's not easy. But all that being said, in order for us to really get excited about the Canelo fight, he almost needed to look destructive. He needed to look destructive in there against Madrimov at 154 pounds for us to think he can do something at 168. And I know a lot of you guys are going to jump in and say styles make fights. I agree with that, by the way. Madrimov's style was completely different to Canelo's style. But nonetheless, we needed to get excited about the Canelo fight. And I think we left Saturday night not very excited about a Canelo fight. It's true. If Crawford was able to completely shut out Madrimov and potentially stop him, and then it's all systems go. It's all systems go, and any question after the fight is about when are we going to see Canelo? Sorry, when are we going to see Canelo versus Crawford? No one's asking those questions anymore. No one. Like, I went on a few people's Twitter pages, I watched a few videos, and no one's talking about Crawford Canelo. All of a sudden, people are talking about Crawford versus Fundora, Crawford versus Virgil Ortiz, Crawford potentially versus Jamel Charlo, who looks like he's coming back, Crawford against Spence. No one's saying Crawford Canelo. So it seems to have died down, that talk, a little bit. I thought Crawford had an excellent opportunity in the ring after the fight. I think Mannix asked him the question about Canelo, and he said, look, if the money's right. That's not what he's been saying for the past few months. For the past few months, it seems like he was talking about fighting Canelo. Now it's like, if the money's right. So I don't know if he felt the weight of Madrimov at 154 pounds and thought, whoa, Canelo's 168. And now Canelo all of a sudden to thick 168 as well. So I don't know, man. Look, I still think it'll be an exciting fight, but I just don't know if the crowd are now screaming for it. And sometimes it's the crowd that dictates what we see. I still think Turkey will want to make it. And I do think if you're Canelo, you may be thinking, okay, maybe isn't. Look, I don't know who would have been favourite anyway for that fight. I think I have to edge to Canelo just because he's the 168 guy. But I did think, going into the fight, it was a bit of a lose-lose for Canelo, just because you win, or you're supposed to beat the guy coming up from 154. You lose, and you've lost to a guy coming up from 154. So the only thing he was getting from it, like, I don't think Canelo would have got the respect for fighting Crawford and winning that Crawford's going to get for fighting Canelo and winning. Do you know what I mean? Like, Crawford's going to get all the respect, and Canelo's not going to get much apart from a big fat paycheck. But yeah, I don't know if we saw enough. That's just my honest take on it. I think Crawford still looked really good in there. I think Madrimov is very, very highly skilled. So there's always going to be a bit of a problem just because his movement is different. He's got power in both hands. I think we saw that. But when Crawford did put them together, he did look really, really good. But that is the most I've seen Crawford get hit. Maybe ever. I don't think I've seen him get touched that much. Maybe ever. But I think that's all down to Madrimov being really, really good rather than Crawford having an off night and people starting saying things like, well, he's going to be 37 soon. I don't think it is that. I just think Madrimov is a very good fighter. Very good fighter. I scored it 115, 113. I don't know what you guys had it. Some people had it 8-4, 116, 112. I think Sean Porter, who was ringside with us, I think he might have had it 10-2, which I think is a bit disrespectful. But the rounds are close. It's what you like. And Sean liked what Crawford did. But ultimately, I thought the right man won, and we'll see what happens next. The big problem for Crawford is there are no super fights at 154 and 160. Like, he wants to fight Canelo because it's a super fight, not necessarily because he wants to jump up to 168. If there was a super fight at 154, he will take it. Virgil Ortiz isn't a super fight. Tim Tszyu isn't a super fight. Jamel Charlo would have been, I think, a super-ish fight. That's the big one. It isn't there. Fundora is not a super fight. And Errol Spence rematch isn't a super fight. Then you go to 160. There is no one there at 160 for him to fight. Alam Kanali is not a super fight by any stretch of the imagination. And nor is Carlos Adames, nor is Jamal Charlo. There were just no super fights there. So he's only going to 168 because that is the super fight. That's the one that makes him the most money. And at this stage of his career, again, approaching 37, you want to fill your pockets. Because he hasn't filled his pockets beforehand. But there are just no fights at 154 or 160. There isn't. And maybe the risk reward factor just doesn't work. Like some of these fights at 154, I think he's seen it now with Madrimov, can be quite risky. And yes, I know the reward is a lot of money, but But ultimately, the reward is you want to kind of fatten your resume so we can have you in this greatest of all time conversation. Beating a Tim Tszyu or Virgil Ortiz don't do that. Beating a Canelo does. It's that simple, isn't it? It's that simple. All right. We're not going to see a rematch as well, by the way. Let me quickly bring up the fight card. I think I pretty much know off head anyway. Jarrell Miller beat Andy Ruiz, didn't he? Like, Andy Ruiz probably won the first, what would you say, the first 4 rounds, and then Jarrell Miller won every single round after that. To be fair, I mean, Andy's hand after was gruesome. So, I mean, he fought through it, and it was his first fight in 2 years. Like, what are we doing? So, he was always going to get tired towards the end. Whereas Jarrell, he's not been super active, but he's been a bit more active than Andy Ruiz. So, yeah, look, he won that fight, Jarrell Miller. There is a lot of talk now about Jarrell Miller versus Derek Chisora. That isn't going away. I heard the whispers ringside. I heard the whispers after the fight. I don't know. Does that go on the undercard? I mean, are they going to do an all heavyweight undercard for Fury Usyk? If they are, they will chuck Bakoli Zhang on it. They'll probably chuck Chisora Miller on it as well. They might even, looking at Andy's hand, that's a bit of a problem. But if it heals up, you are looking at maybe Andy Ruiz versus Agit Kabayel. Potentially, these are the fights that could happen. All right. Isaac Cruz versus Jose Valenzuela. Valenzuela won that fight. Obviously he got booed because it's a majority Isaac Cruz crowd, but he won that fight. Isaac Cruz, though, is a bit of a nightmare, you know. Like, watching him ringside, Valenzuela done well, and he got caught with a couple of big shots, Valenzuela. He landed his own, but they were having no effect on Pitbull. But Isaac Cruz is a bit of a nightmare. I still think he has the wrong frame for 140 pounds. I think a bit like Gervonta Davis, he looks like he's maxed out at 135, and maybe he might look to go back down there. But he's got such a fan base that they could do that fight again and it will sell. So I wouldn't be surprised if they run that back. Again, split decision, not on my books, but the record books. David Morrell versus Hot Rod Radivoje Kaladzic. I wanted to see more from Morrell. Clearly very, very skilled, but I wanted to see more. I feel this was a showcase event to make a statement. It really is, because it looks like Benavidez seems to have put himself in the position where he will fight the winner of Bivol Beterbiev. I almost felt like there was a path there for Morrell to kind of jump the queue, and either you fight the winner or you go straight to Benavidez, and that's the fight he wants. He wants Benavidez. Benavidez is chasing Canelo. Morrell's chasing Benavidez. Benavidez Morrell is the fight I really want to see, and the winner of that fight the winner of Bivol Beterbiev. I don't like Benavidez hasn't done anything at 175 to warrant that. Vozdik's not enough to warrant fighting Bivol Beterbiev winner, and Morrell hasn't done enough either. Beating each other, you're straight there. So yeah, hopefully that happens. What else is on the card? Jared Anderson, Martin Bakoli. I do want to do a separate Martin Bakoli video. I think we need to. By the way, the fight should have been stopped after the third knockdown. Obviously, there was a knockdown in round 1, and then there were, was it 3 knockdowns? Then there's 2 knockdowns in the round where it got stopped, wasn't it? I think it was either the second knockdown in that round, it should have been stopped. But then, you know, Jared Anderson's the big name, I guess. They wanted to give him an opportunity. American refs, unlike UK refs, one thing, it's almost like they want you to fucking die in there. Sorry, I know that might sound a bit much, but sometimes I'm like, just stop the fight. Even the corners, they don't want to do it. They don't want to throw in the towels. Like, that fight should have been stopped. Bakoli can hit really hard, and he started to tee off on Anderson. But we'll do a separate video about Bakoli. Andy Cruz looked okay against Antonio Moran. Antonio Moran is no slouch. He's been in there against some good fighters. Yes, he's lost to those guys, but he's been in there with some good fighters. Way more experience. That was Andy Cruz's full fight as a pro. I think Moran's had like 37 or 38. He's been in there with Arnold Barboza. He's been in there with Jermaine Ortiz. Obviously, Devin Haney stopped him. And I think Andy Cruz started slow, but got there. And a few more fights, and he'll be ready. Talking of fights, obviously, I was right there. When I say right there, I was right there for the Loma Shakur Stevenson kind of face-off showdown thing, if you like. And that was always going to happen between those two. It looks like Shakur Stevenson's going to go down the Zepeda route. And I don't know what Loma's doing, but Loma looked good, looked in good health, looked in good spirits. I would love to see that fight. I have no problem in that fight happening. It all seems to be down to Loma now, though. Obviously, after that Kambosos win, Loma looks like he's obviously pressed the pause button. But there are there are fights there for him. Really good fights, and Shakur Stevenson's one of them. And if I'm Loma, you shouldn't be scared of Shakur Stevenson. I mean, that's a boxing match, and Loma can box. You know, man, it's not a Gervonta Davis or Gervonta fight. It's not that, right? You're not getting hit hard. This is a boxing match, and I mean, geez, Loma can still box. So yeah, I don't mind that fight happening. Right, let's quickly see if there is anything else to talk about before we wrap. Jack Catterall Regis Prograde rescheduled for October 26th. October, that's Bivol Beterbiev, so it's a busy month. We're just like month starting to get filled up very quickly. The September's busy as well now. All of a sudden, with Berlanga Canelo, September 15th. Remember, AJ's the week after, isn't it? Yeah, I think I've got that right. September 14th or 15th, AJ's the week after. So that's 2 big fight weeks back to back. Israel Madrimov has doubts about Terence Crawford's chances against Canelo Alvarez. Still has a chance, but I think that chance is now pretty slim. But still has a chance. I mean, it's still Crawford, man. I'm not one of those people after one fight that you're like, oh, no, still Crawford. But again, he needed to really put on a performance against Madrimov, and I don't think we saw it. Guys, my week in LA was interesting. Obviously, so on Monday I did interviews. I did the face-offs, which was hard. I mean, Madrimov Crawford face-off. Oh my God, tough. But we got it done. Tuesday was what? What was Tuesday? Tuesday was Grand Arrivals. Santa Monica Pier. Again, lovely, different. Wednesday was Media Public Workout, which also had the fight. Thursday, I hosted, was it the press conference I did on Thursday? Tough, but we got through it. 3 different press conferences. Friday weigh-ins, Saturday Showtime. What an experience. Like, I don't take these things for granted at all. I'm there as a fan that just works, because I'm a fan nonetheless. And every fighter stayed in the same hotel as well, which was wild. Like, you go down for breakfast and you're seeing Team Crawford. Like, it was honestly wild to see them all there together, but it was an incredible experience. And yeah, we get ready for the next one. All right, thank you for all the love as always, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.